Hello everyone and welcome to Merlin's Manor. Today I'm doing my top 10 most anticipated games for 2024. Before I get into my top 10 list, I do have a few honorable mentions. The first one I want to bring up is Clank Legacy 2. Is one that I enjoyed Clank Legacy 1, and while I am anticipating this game, I'm not as excited about it as I have already played one Legacy game of it, and I have Clank Catacombs as well, but I do look forward to at some point playing Clank Legacy 2. Another one on my list of honorable mentions is Wyrmspan. This is one that I just heard about just over a week ago, and it's coming out in a few weeks, so I figured not really as much of an anticipation there. And plus, basically it's a re-implementation to a certain degree of Wingspan with some added, using that core mechanisms of Wingspan, but adding some extra mechanisms as well. There are going to be quite a few differences that makes it worth being its own game, but it's not quite going to be on that most anticipated list for me this year. It's a combination of the fact that that it's got that core mechanics already of Wingspan, which is a game I do really enjoy, and the fact that I really haven't had a lot of time to anticipate it. And the third one on my list of honorable mentions is The Flood. And the reason this is on the list of honorable mentions is it was on my 2023 list, but it has been a little bit late in fulfilling, so rather than have it on two separate lists, just again coming in, I'm not going to go ahead and have that qualified for this year's list, as it was going to be 2023, but it's just running a little late. Okay, now that we've gotten the honorable mentions out of the way, let's get into my number 10, which is Undergrove by Elizabeth Hargrave, who designed Wingspan, and this game is published by AEG. Now in this game you'll be placing out mushroom tiles and planting roots and seedlings to try to score for mushroom tiles and bonus goals by the end of the game. There are just 5 different actions that you can take to gain resources, to use resources, or use abilities on the mushroom tiles that you control. Seems very simple to learn, but with a great depth of strategy and good replayability from the variety of different mushroom tiles that are going to come out, as well as the different bonus tiles. The artwork by Beth Sobel looks great as well. The theme and gameplay have both piqued my interest in this game, as well as the fact that the designer, Elizabeth Hargrave, has designed one of my favorite games of all time, that is Wingspan. So I'm really looking forward to Undergrove. Number 9 on my list is Storyburg, a deck-building adventure game. Now, I enjoy deck-building games and cooperative campaign games, and so this one piqued my interest early on. The theme also seems interesting. You are going to pick a storybook character, Alice from Alice in Wonderland, or Peter Pan, or Dorothy Gale from Wizard of Oz, or Little Nemo, and you have specific setup based on your character, as well as cards that are specific to your character. You're going to be able to level up your character as you go through a narrative adventure story with different paths that you can take. As a deck building game, you will of course be buying cards throughout the game. You have equipment cards that you can equip on one per area of your body, and action cards that you will play for an action. You're going to be rolling dice for various challenges, which are unique dice made for the game, and there are action cards that will help you get different and better dice than your starting dice pool. Now, the artwork for the game is very whimsical. The gameplay seems interesting while being fairly basic, and I look forward to playing through the stories and seeing what choices we will have to make and how that affects the storyline. Looking forward to Storyburg, a deck-building adventure game. Number 8 on my list is Maki Master, originally going to be called Wasabi. It's by Kids Table Board Gaming. It's designed by Josh Capel and Adam Gertzman, and re-implements their original game Wasabi, which was published by Z-Man Games back in 2008. I got to play this game on Tabletop Simulator and enjoyed my play of it, and I'm looking forward to having a physical copy to play. It is a quick, simple to learn strategic game where you're going to have recipe cards that you are going to try to fill by putting out ingredients on this shared board, and you're hoping that others don't mess you up by placing down ingredients that get in the way of you completing your recipe. There are also cards that you can pick up that will allow you to do various things to help fix problems that come up, or otherwise just better or more easily fulfill your orders. You can fulfill orders by placing ingredients in the precise order for an extra bonus, or out of order just to accomplish the score points without the added bonus. As recipe cards are taken, Wasabi gets added to a bowl, and as an action you can take instead of playing ingredients to take all that wasabi that has been stored up in the pool, and wasabi is going to be worth 1 point each at the end of the game. So taking the wasabi pool at just the right time as it's built up can be a great option. And there's a bit of a, should I take it now or hope it builds up some more and I can take it my next turn? But then somebody might just go ahead and grab it before it gets back around to you and it's back down to only one wasabi being in there and not really worth taking that action to take it at that point. I enjoy the sushi theme as well as the gameplay for this game, and I look forward to getting this game from a company that I've already really enjoyed their other games, both for their gameplay and their production quality. That is Maki Master. Number 7 on my list is Dragon Eclipse by Awaken Realms. This is a campaign game for 1 to 2 players that has a bit of a Pokemon with dragons feel to it. It comes with 2 different versions. There's a standard version with acrylic standees, or there's the one with deluxe miniatures. Both look great, and I've elected to get the version with the miniatures. You're going to be playing cards in this game for your actions and getting resources when you gain new cards that are necessary to perform elemental powers. There's an enemy deck that has different symbols which relate to different abilities on that dragon's card that is attacking you, and you are able to plan ahead because that symbol is revealed the round before it comes into play. When you defeat a dragon, you will gain some benefits, and you may even be able to tame some of the dragons along the way to be able to use them in the future. Now, win or lose, the story will advance, and the game is just a game that looks great as one would expect from Awaken Realms, and the gameplay sounds fantastic. I'm looking forward to the story as well. Number 6 on my list is Zombicide White Death by CMON. I almost passed on this one as I feel like I have enough Zombicide with Black Plague and 2nd Edition and Marvel Zombies, which I haven't even tabled Marvel Zombies yet. But what really sold me on this one and has gotten me looking forward to it is the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles expansion. I admit it got my FOMO going. I also have been able to rationalize this one some with the fact that it is compatible with Black Plague, and so it isn't a 4th completely separate Zombicide system. It also adds some new mechanics as you can climb on top of the walls and dump cauldrons of hot tar on the zombies below. Plus you can get better line of sight from the wall. You can command guards, the zombies can be frozen, there are ruin zones, and the added issue of keeping the zombies from corrupting a beacon for another loss condition there. Of course, there are a plethora of heroes and zombies, as well as new items, and of course, more Zombicide scenarios to complete. Zombicide is one of my favorite game systems, with Black Plague thus far being my favorite version. We'll see if Marvel Zombies pushes that one aside or not. So I'm really looking forward to more Zombicide and in that Black Plague kind of universe there. And especially the Turtles Time Crash expansion. Now, number 5 on my list is Rogue Angels Legacy of the Burning Suns by Sun Tzu Games, designed by Martin Engoff and Emil Larson. I was able to preview this game, and I played the first 3 scenarios and resisted playing any more so that I can enjoy the whole game when it comes. This is a sci-fi campaign game in which you play as mercenaries and feel a bit like Mass Effect. You choose a character and we'll get action cards related to that character. You'll be leveling up your character throughout the game based on things that happen and on decisions that you make. If you want to know more about this game, I recommend checking out my preview video, which will be listed in the description below and included on the end screen. I really enjoyed this game with what I was able to experience already, and I'm looking forward to playing through the entire campaign and experiencing all that this game has to offer. Number 4 on my list is Time Lancers by Waddling Panda. The theme for this game was the first thing that pulled me in. You are a time traveler who is hired to go back in time and make changes, or in some cases ensure that certain things happen the way that they originally happened. You're going to travel around a board to gain resources and then jump through time and use those resources in order to capture events and place them on your time machine to either repeat the event or to revise the event. You need to place events in chronological order on your board, so there is some planning that needs to be done when you place those down in different areas. Plus, those events will get you benefits if you use that location on your time machine in the future. You have goals that you are going to be trying to achieve to get points, And if you fulfill all the goals, it's going to trigger the end game, and the end game can also be triggered by a player capturing 9 events. Now, there are side jobs that you can also complete for points. Events can also get flipped during the game to either their revised or their original event side, which can undo what you've worked for in your goals. You can also get locks that lock in events. The next time an event would flip, you would just remove that lock instead of flipping it. There are also enforcers that will come out on the board and get in your way, as you cannot enter a space with an enforcer. And if they come into your square, you lose your entire turn. But you will know where they're going to be next round, so you can plan ahead for that. At the end of the game, you will score points for events that you've captured, which will differ from event to event, as well as depending on if the event is revised or the original. You'll score points for side jobs, goals completed at the end of the game, leftover time locks, upgrades, money, and resources. I love the theme of this game, and the gameplay looks very interesting. I could definitely see the fact that events can get flipped as being a potentially frustrating thing, but there are ways to mitigate that, plus you can reflip those events later on to get them back where they need to be for you. Number 3 on my list is Ezra and Nehemiah by Garphill Games, designer being Shem Phillips and S.J. McDonald. The first things that drew me into wanting this game is the theme, which is based on the rebuilding of the wall by the Israelites as led by Ezra and Nehemiah after the Babylonian captivity. I appreciate the historical and biblical theme. The second thing that pulled me in is that it is designed by Shem Phillips, who has designed some other games that I enjoy, Raiders of Scythia and Raiders of the North Sea. And Garphill Games also has produced Hadrian's Wall, which is becoming one of my favorite flip and write games. Now, this game has a worker placement mechanic, which is one of my favorite mechanisms. It also has hand management, resource management, track movement, chaining, and just a lot of cool things going on in the game, including an interesting thing where you retire one of your cards at the end of each round, and it then will give you an ongoing banner, which banner is at kind of like a resource for performing actions in the future. You'll need a certain amount of banners of a certain color to perform different actions. Now, you're going to place 6 cards in front of you during a round into 3 different spaces, and those cards are going to give you ongoing banners as long as they are showing. But since you have to place 2 per space, you're going to be covering up cards as you go as well. Now, during the game, you will be removing rubble, rebuilding the walls, delivering resources to the temple for points. You can also take an action to move up the altar track by paying resources, or teaching the Torah for ongoing benefits, or tenting around the city to gain different bonuses. The game does seem to have a lot going on to it, but looks like a lot of fun if you are into games with a good amount of complexity to work through. Now, my number 2 game on this list is Critter Kitchen by Cardboard Alchemy. Now, we have really enjoyed Flamecraft, also by Cardboard Alchemy, so this one also caught my attention quickly. The artwork is done by Sandra Tang, who did the artwork for Flamecraft, and so it looks great, just like Flamecraft looks great. In this game, you are placing workers to get ingredients in order to fulfill recipe challenges for stars, which are points. At the end of the game, there will be a critic that you are going to try to satisfy for even more points. Characters have asymmetric powers that will help you during the game. An interesting twist on the worker placement aspect of the game is that you have 3 workers. One of them is fast, becoming higher in priority, getting first choice, but can only carry away 1 ingredient from that location. The second can take 2 ingredients, but it's a little bit slower. And the third takes 3 ingredients, but goes last in priority. Now, you choose where your characters are going in secret simultaneously, and then you reveal them together. This is probably the one my wife is most looking forward to at this point, and is my second most anticipated game because it looks great, and it looks like it's going to be a lot of fun. Now, my number 1 anticipated game is Harvest. This game is a re-implementation of a 2017 game of the same name, which is re-implemented by Keymaster Games, who are the makers of Parks. And so they have made it look really good, and the game itself has also been tweaked with some interesting game design choices. It is a farming game with worker placement in which you gather resources to be able to buy seeds to plant and water to then be able to harvest for points. Before you plant too much, though, you're going to have to also clear off areas on your farm to increase the available space for farming. You can also get buildings that are going to give you ongoing effects or points, but they will also fill up space on your farm. So you have to kind of balance how much you're going to use for seeds and how much for buildings. The seeds require you to plant in various shapes and sizes into your farm area, providing a tiny bit of a polyomino placement challenge. There are also variable player powers in this game. And one of the things that has really bumped this game up into the #1 most anticipated spot for me is the solo mode, which has 18 scenarios to give special challenges for the game when playing solo. And after watching Mike DeLisio do a playthrough of the solo mode, I just got super pumped for this game. And I look forward not only to playing this game multiplayer, but also the solo challenges, which will provide a unique way to play the game. So those are my top 10 most anticipated games for 2024. Let me know in the comments down below what you think about these games and what games are you most excited about for 2024. Let me know in the comments down below and check out some of my other videos, including the video of my preview of Rogue Angels. As always, I hope you've enjoyed this video and I will catch you in the next one.